Are you aware that the village administrator currently is in a bankruptcy proceeding? Something like this does not happen overnight.
Mr. Keith Freeman, if you can't take care of the business of your own house and pay your bills and you have to file bankruptcy, today I'm asking that you either step down or the trustees for the village of Dolton that voted you in to vote you out, because you are no good for the residents of this community.
Everybody just try to smile, man. Just a little bit. Want to smile? No? I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. All right.
Okay, as always, I'm not gonna be long, but can't get out. I won't be long because you guys just heard from me a few minutes ago. It's the same song and dance. They removed, just so you clear, the trees that's been getting cut down. They removed all those vendors. They removed all the concrete work that's been getting done in the village of Dolton, including the police department, the fire department, public work area. They removed all that. They removed the windows and roof programs that the seniors and veterans was benefiting from. And guess what they just did? They removed the Christmas tree for the kids. How heartless can you possibly be? So I don't have a tree. So anybody watching this, please donate a tree to the village of Dolton so I can light up Greenwood for the babies, okay? Because they just removed the tree. So again, pay attention to what they're doing, and they have no reason to remove any of this, because all the things that they just removed was for you residents, and it came from grant money, MFT funds, things of that nature. So pay attention to what this board is doing. Remember, they'll be at your door soon. Please call the roll.
May I be recognized before we call the roll? I just had a couple questions. I pulled up the invoices through my viewpoint, but I was just wondering, it wasn't really clear. Production distribution photo sale. What's that? For what? The production distribution photo sale.
So I refer that to Finance Director Tanjanique. So if y'all have, and then just for the record, if y'all have questions about anything on the warrant list, because I don't put it together, you guys should reach out to the finance director or Janice, and they can answer any questions on there about any items that you may have. So we have Tanjanique. And what's the line item? You want to read that to her again? Or?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
01-14-553.
Okay. And is there any more?
Yeah, I also have a JKCS Communication Services for $20,000. I have a iHeart Media radio broadcast for $29.50. I was just wondering if she know what these things are.
Okay, so Tanjanique, can you help her with those items? And where's Janice? Is Janice not here?
Let me do it. Okay.
Country Lane Gazebo also, guys. I know you writing the list down, so I'm just to add that. Country Lane Gazebos, the pavilion for $90,000.
Yep.
Line item 45.
I know that one. That one's for the ice rink, and that's for the pavilion that will be placed over the ice arena. So I know that one.
Okay, ice skating.
But the other ones is day-to-day operation stuff. So anyone can answer. Keith, Tanjanique, where's Janice?
Production distribution is streetlight repairs for residents. So they've made complaints and they've repaired the streetlights.
Say that again. You said street lights?
Streetlights.
Okay, so those are for street lights, you stated.
Yes, streetlights. Okay. New LED streetlights too.
Got you. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Did y'all remove that one?
For resident complaints that the streets wasn't bright enough.
Hold on 1 minute, Keith. Did y'all remove that one? Did y'all?
Yes, that was on the list.
Are y'all willing to put it back? Now
Well, I got a couple questions. Maybe
I know, I am, but I'm asking so we don't have to go back to it. Are you willing to put that back in, house for the street lights or no?
Well, wait, trustee Norwoods, and then consider.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Like, I know I see that the streetlights, and I have the invoice in front of me. Keith, so you just said those are streetlights. It's just various streetlights throughout the neighborhood.
Yes, streetlight repairs.
Okay. And then she answered the pavilion question for me. She stated that's for the ice skating rink. What was JKCS Communication Services?
That's public relations.
Okay, public relations for the Village of Dolton. And what was the iHeart Media radio broadcast? $29.50.
That was for promotion for our events for the year.
Okay, she answered the rent a Christmas tree for the $50,000. Okay, that was it for me. All right, thanks.
Would you like to know K&M Ventures and some of the other work that was being done, or you don't want to know about those?
Wow.
Hold on, let's see if I have that one on my list.
No?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yes.
Oh, yeah. K&M Ventures are the trees that have been cut. They've been pushed back. Residents who've had trees in the parkway that are dead, that we removed. Tree removal.
Okay.
Tree removal for all the residents that, have complaints about trees that need to be removed.
Okay.
Would you like to know about Johnny Jefferson?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Johnny Jefferson did the work on the fire station that one of our trustees came and cut a ribbon for. It was, we opened up a brand new firehouse that cut our lead time for our residents to receive proper medical assistance by, 7 to 10 minutes.
Everything in half.
Cut everything in half. That was also for the residents. Would you like me to go through the rest of the list or?
Yep, you might as well.
Okay. 5-star. I believe they did concrete work for the police department.
Yep.
There were potholes that were so bad at the police department in the back that I believe our police cars were getting messed up. New police cars were actually, we were losing wheels and all types of stuff. So that was for the repair to the police department parking lot. As a matter of fact, that was phase 2, which I believe that the board approved prior to me getting here, phase 1 and phase 2. So.
That's that $114,500.
Yes, I believe it might be more than that. So, phase 1 and phase 2, but I believe it was already approved last year.
Okay, all right, that's it for me.
I apologize. And that was for, what does it say? Oh, water breaks and curbs. Oh, and the curbs were included too.
Which one?
Which one was that? Stacy, would you mind?
And just for the record, that's why I say if y'all just call, we can ask questions about it. So y'all pull out things that's actually getting done for the people.
Right, but maybe I know we get it late.
While we're waiting on Stacy, I would like to mention that
be recognized.
Karen Gordon is one of the people that provide maintenance for our police department for years. And she does an amazing job cleaning the police department on a weekly basis. And her bill is $800. So, Stacy, I apologize. Go ahead.
So where do we even begin with this story?
Let's start with these forcible entry and detainer cases.
Forcible entry and detainer.
From back in 2003 and 2004.
Okay, now that sounds very official.
In Iowa.
So what is that? Is that like a fancy illegal term for getting evicted?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
The landlord wants you out.
All right, so?
This is the legal process they would use to remove a tenant.
Uh-huh.
Usually it's for not paying rent.
Makes sense.
Or, violating the terms of your lease.
Right.
What's interesting here is that we're seeing these cases 2 years in a row.
Oh, so it wasn't just a one-time thing.
Right. I mean, if it happens once, you could maybe chalk it up to bad luck.
Right. Right.
But when you see 2 of these in a row,
Back to back.
it suggests a pattern of, you know, not being able to meet your rental obligations.
2 years in a row, that's not just like, you know, a bad month.
No.
That's like a habit of not paying your rent.
Right.
So what happened? Did he just get kicked out, or is there more to it?
Well, these cases probably resulted in court judgments against him.
Yeah.
Meaning he not only got evicted, but he probably owed back rent too.
So right from the start,
Yeah.
we're already seeing signs of trouble.
Yes.
Like he's not very good at keeping his financial life in order.
Right. And these early instances could point to, you know, a longer term problem with finances in general.
Okay, so maybe this is like a sign of things to come?
Potentially. Yeah.
Because Trustee House, could you explain from your finance background the concerns you have for the finances and the spending in this village?
Okay.
Please.
Before you give the floor to anybody, Trustee Ed Steves, it's a shame that you as a trustee cannot explain what a deficit is and where it come from. You shouldn't have to look to another trustee to explain what your argument is, sir.
We all have.
If no. If
We all
you
have
know,
our
you should be able
independent-
to recite to the residents what a deficit is, where it came from, who created it. Because when you was under Riley Rogers, it was a deficit, correct, sir? Did you talk or say anything? You was on mute, right?
No,
you
it's not a resident.
You
when
was.
when you took over, there was a surplus when you took over.
Trustee.
Because the stuff that we voted on, there was no deficit like it is
Oh,
now.
so it
And
was
the reality is, when we took over, there was a budget surplus. The first year we did the budget with Dorothy Brown, there was a budget surplus. We don't have that now. That's the reality. Reason why I lean on Trustee House, because that's his background, that's his expertise more than anybody up here.
Trustee.
So who has a better way
Trustee.
to explain the reality of finances? So
Me,
that's
I
what I'm saying.
can. Because every single board meeting, y'all go up $1 million. Every single board meeting, y'all just
Because
pull numbers
right
out of
now,
the sky. So if you know the truth,
the
trustee,
$105,000 for ice skate rink that they still haven't got paid for, all that stuff is well and good, but it was spent irresponsibly. That's all I'm asking. Is
trustee, where was this spent at? You never approved the ice rink, ever. We never
There's-
spent any money from the village,
That's
from the
not true.
taxpayers, or from, for the ice rink. We did not.
No.
Someone donated us the ice rink.
no.
Well, if they donated
got-
it, why is it still on the warrant list?
Because just to show people y'all say no, just to say no.
Actually, people
Just to
call
say no.
me
There's no
from-
reason for you guys to say no. Why you saying no? You have the opportunity right now, Trustee Ed Steve, to fix this. You have the opportunity right now to give the people what they need and deserve. But you still choosing not. You still being bitter. For what? Why? All I'm asking all of y'all to do is to do what's right. That's all I'm asking. Okay, go ahead, Keith Freeman.
Just real quick. I mean, so you guys keep sort of skewing the numbers, but I don't think you realize you keep talking about this administration and the reckless behavior of this administration. And I find it odd that it's reckless to hold hostage millions of dollars in vendor fees and attorney fees, and to allow for the village to become liable for all types of expenses, legal fees. But so quick fact. So before they throw out whatever this new deficit number is, let's talk about whatever this collateral damage is for them causing gridlock. And I want to start from the highest number and work my way backwards, so you guys get a picture of what that's going to cost the residents over time, at least if we don't get a chance to fix it. So there's $33.5 million that was a lawsuit that we lost. So right off the top, that was a seats case. That was a lawsuit that we could have easily settled, but we didn't go into closed session.
Because they walked
I'm
out.
not making this up, because the trustees walked out and they went to the bar. I'm not making this up. This is a fact.
It's on tape.
And then there is another case that's outstanding right now for a lawsuit from the family of Alexis Wilson. That case is a very simple case. That case we already had traction on. That case we should already have been finished by now. But they've held up payment for Fioretti Campbell. That will cost us millions of dollars, probably up to $10 million in losses. That's collateral damage, because they refused to pay the attorney. And in emails, I'm not making this up, in emails, the trustees have said, why don't we just appoint somebody else? So we have one attorney, we have attorney Delgado Group that we owe I don't even know how much money at this particular point defending all of these random FOIA cases against the mayor for having a protective detail, cases about the recall, all of these fees that we only owe him because we are defending the government and the way that the government functions. Let's be clear about what we're defending. A recall, there's no precedence for a recall in the state of Illinois. We lost millions of dollars and we will continue to lose millions of dollars because of this gridlock. And if you add the 33 plus the $10 million plus another $1.5 million in legal fees that we got outstanding right now, we're getting close to $50 million, right? Then you add another $3 million on the interest that we're paying for the vendors. We owe one vendor over $800,000 right now. By the time we get done with interest, even when these new trustees get sworn in May, that'll be well over $1 million in interest, right? So that's another $1 million. That's $46 million, right? We're talking about a problem about paying their attorneys, a problem about a recall. This is a $150,000 problem that has snowballed into $46 million. And that's your money. Let's keep going. We have $600,000 in a grant that they turned down for a water park. It was free money.
A water park.
A water park, right? So now we're over $46 million. So again, $150,000 problem turned into a $46 million problem. And then what's going to be the cultural impact? What about your streets? What about your alleys? What about your sidewalks? What about all the things you're not getting while we're paying this $50 million, right? Okay, so let me explain it to you. I got an amortization calculator right here. Ocean City. I got a modest interest rate in here, even though we could have refinanced our bonds and had a negative interest rate on refinancing our bonds, right? We could have been, I don't know, paying 1.5%, but I got 4.5% because we didn't do that last year because we were in gridlock. If you take $50 million and you stretch it out over 360 months, the village will end up paying, and I quote, a total of $41,203,357.67 in interest. So we turned a $150,000 problem. Don't look at me like that, Trustee House. You know money. We turned right? That's what Trustee Steve just said. We turned a $150,000 problem, a recall case that should have never happened, into a if you take the 41 million plus the $50 million, that's $91,203,357.67. That's your money. Every single year you're paying it. How do you think we're going to pay for sidewalks? How are we going to pay for streets? How are we going to pay for inspectors, police officers? And they talk about a $4 million deficit. They choose not to vote for a $4 million deficit that they call it, right? We could have refinanced the $4 million. We could have issued a bond out. We could have did a bunch of different things. And I know they all like, oh my God, where did these numbers come from? They're not inflated. Just take the numbers, just do the math, do your research. I'm not making it up. $33.5 million we lost on the Seats case. It was in the newspaper, right? Alexis Wilson case. They took the attorney, they have not paid them. The attorney withdrawn. If we don't have somebody that appears in court in the next couple of days, am I correct to say that? Okay. Sure. Then that will be another $10 million, up to $10 million. Our insurance only covers 11, but guess what? We already lost that because we owe $33.5 million. Our insurance isn't going to pay that. So what's going to happen to our insurance rates? That's what we call collateral damage. They're not telling you the truth. You guys better hey, listen, there is a reason. There is a reason why they hide behind these things. There's a reason why Trustee Steve can't tell you, he can't give you the facts. He can't give you numbers. He points over there and he says, oh, well, Trustee House can explain it. They don't even know what a deficit is. Our budget may be higher. Did they tell you, hey, listen, taxes came in late? You guys know taxes came in late. You guys know that you guys are paying your taxes late. It'll catch up. There are ways to restructure money. This is a government entity. Every government entity, including the United States, is in debt. Governments function on debt. Not $91 million over a $150,000 problem. That's asinine. Be clear, residents. Be clear. Do not let these people fool you. Do not let them fool you. Whatever number they getting ready to throw out here, oh, it's $4 million, $5 million. I guarantee next month it'll be an election. They'll say it's 10. Don't fall for it, because it's going to cost you 91 million and counting. Do your homework. Do your research. Do not let these people fool you. These people have chosen to stick together for a reason. It's not because we're not doing our jobs. They can read just like I can. I go through this warrant list in 30 minutes. If he's the finance guy they say he is, and well, I hope he can read. He got one more month.
Yes.
Every time Trustee House gets up there, affordable party planners.
Yeah.
Do not be fooled, people. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, we laughing, but I'm serious. I'm serious, guys. Listen, be smart. Do your research. This is going to cost you. And guess what? We're going to be here to fix it, because that's our job. We fixing it in spite of them, not with them.
Yeah.
In spite of them.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to fix it.
Yeah.
And our mayor will continue to help us fix it.
Mm-hmm.
She's done an amazing job, and I hope she continues to have an opportunity to do an amazing job. And you guys should give her credit for that. Mm-hmm. Because she could stand down, but she didn't. She could compromise, but she doesn't. That's not fair. You guys still getting your alleys fixed, right? Still getting your streets, right? They're still cutting down trees. That's those relationships she built. Don't be fooled by this guy. Don't be fooled. That's all I'm saying. And thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for this.
When he said that I was removed from the bank account, I was removed from your bank account, meaning the village's bank account, due to the fact of the clerk adjacent house going to a whole nother bank called MB Financial in another city. I think it was Orland. They didn't go up the street right here in Dolton. They didn't go up the street in South Holland, because they know that if any one of them would have got wing of this, they would have came and told us. But no one told us. So I do have a problem with that. They come from MB Financial. We do have a lawsuit pending, and we are suing the trustees, and we are suing the bank as well for this illegal removal of your mayor from the bank account. It's all a power grab. That's all it is. Trustee House wants to be mayor, which he will never be, and he used these couple people to basically do his dirty deeds. You have never ever seen your mayor do anything illegal, anything that will harm the people. It's always you first. And with that being said, I love God, because he gave me another seat and he blessed me to be the supervisor of Thornton Township. All right, we're gonna move on because we will be so long with this.
Mayor, if I could be recognized.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I have not heard a more creative spin of numbers in my life.
Thank you.
The only, I'll be brief, unlike most. My challenge would be to anybody that says the numbers, please ask them to put it in paper, post it on the website where everybody can see it, and then we can verify that. Every number that I recite comes from our accounting firm, comes from this administration. I have it documented, and anybody that's asked me, anybody that's talked to me, anybody that wants to stay after this meeting can come here and I will show them the documentation. I will email you the documentation so you can take it, review it, do whatever you would like to do with it. So the response, and I've not at this point in time, every meeting we come in here and talk about a deficit, I've never heard one number, not one number from this administration. They just say, oh, they're gaslighting you. Then it's 33 million. Then it's all this up. It's the most creative thing I've ever seen. It was borderline genius and a great performance. At the end of the day, it's back with nothing. It's back with no paperwork. And I challenge anybody to put that paperwork up there. And until then, it's the same smoke and mirrors we've always gone with. So having said that, that's the conclusion of my statements, and I encourage everybody, as everybody says, please get involved, ask for the documentation, and that's the end of my statement.
Just real quick, Trustee House, do you deny that we lost a $33.5 million lawsuit?
So the characterization that you give of that is that there was a $33.5 million lawsuit settled. That is true. The board authorized settlement of that, which we also have documented. I will be glad we showed it through video, we showed it through YouTube, and I also have that documentation as well. The board authorized settlement of that. The insurance companies decided they did not want to settle, which is the reason that we are able to be in court on appeal right now, not only with an appeal about the legitimacy of the case, but also a claim against the insurance companies for not settling the way that the board directed them. Once again, documents it. Please feel free to ask. I'm here before this meeting, after this meeting, at tea with the trustees. Anywhere that a resident wants to meet and discuss it, please call, please email, and that's the direction. And we will always have documentation to back that up.
I
Thank you for
appreciate
that
that,
question.
Trustee House. And then I'm just going to say this again, so I just want you to just keep going with the same rhetoric over and over again. Would you also agree that you refuse to pay the attorney that's working on the Alexis Wilson case, which will probably end up, because we do have to have an attorney present. Am I correct in saying that? Our attorney did withdraw. So if we don't appear, they'll have a judgment against us. Right. That judgment will probably be in the millions. Right. Okay, so do you want to keep that same energy, Trustee House? And then before you get to that, I'm sure at this particular point we have millions of dollars of legal fees. Would you deny that? Also, too, again, just the interest rate on what we have for the vendors. If we already have one vendor. Oh, you want to hop in? Go ahead.
You're putting on a great show, but if you want,
these are yes or no questions. These are yes or no answers. This is just a yes or no.
Questions. What's the question?
So the question is again, the millions of dollars that we have outstanding for vendors. If they are continuously charging us interest, then we'll pay millions of dollars. Are you correct in saying that? Am I correct in saying that?
If those vendors were entitled to payment, then yes.
Okay,
These vendors were not properly approved by the board.
They were approved.
Therefore,
even the contractor,
even the contract documentation.
Even the
get up here, we say everything we want to. Nobody has one document. We have a 45-minute speech about how my work speaks for itself. Then we spend 3 hours here speaking about this imaginary work. It doesn't happen. It's all rhetoric.
I think people can see construction and sidewalks.
So please,
let's move on to the next thing.
For documentation.
Do you guys agree that you guys for 3 months straight refused to agree to a $600,000 grant by the IDNR for a water park?
The grant was also fictitious. We sat here for month after month.
I have Ron from Robinson Engineering. Did you apply for that grant?
Are we gonna do I get to respond since you have all these questions?
No, I don't.
So you said it's fake, but it's not fake.
Counsel.
I just think that if we just keep going back and forth with this, you keep saying
you had nothing else to say, and now you got a lot to say.
I always have something to say, especially when it comes to you and your fake deficit.
Yeah.
So what's the number? Would you agree that we have a deficit? What is the deficit? You have no numbers.
I think every time I come up here, you guys have another number. What is it? Is it 2 today?
As the administrator, you should know the deficit.
I think I know the deficit.
What is it?
I think that I know the deficit is
what
under whatever you say it is.
Okay, so we got these evictions, and now let's fast forward like 10 years. And we come to this Chapter 13 bankruptcy filing in 2014.
Okay.
So what is Chapter 13 bankruptcy?
So Chapter 13 is a type of bankruptcy where you basically propose a repayment plan to your creditors.
Okay.
It usually takes 3 to 5 years. And it's not like Chapter 7 where you just liquidate everything you own.
Okay, so it's not like a total fire sale.
Right. It's more like a reorganization of your debts.
Okay, got it.
People usually go for Chapter 13 when they have regular income. But they're just overwhelmed with debt.
So in 2014, he felt like his debts were serious enough to need this kind of like formal repayment plan.
Yeah, it seems that way. And what's really striking here is that this all happened years before he got that big job in Dolton.
Yeah, so like his own personal finances were a mess.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
And now he's in charge of a whole village's money.
Exactly.
All right, so we got a couple evictions, a bankruptcy that might have just fizzled out.
Right.
And now let's move on to his business ventures.
Okay.
Because he apparently got into the world of LLCs.
He did indeed.
In March 2018, he started 2 companies.
Yeah.
Doodads LLC
Doodads LLC doing business as Doodads Novelty Store.
Doodad's Novelty Store.
Then Heirs to Heaven LLC. I am picturing a novelty store right now with like whoopee cushions and fake dog poop.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from the hilarious name,
Yeah.
what happened to these businesses?
Well, both of them were involuntarily dissolved by Illinois in September 2022.
Involuntarily dissolved.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
Well, it's usually because a company doesn't follow the rules.
What kind of rules?
Basic things, really.
Right.
Like filing their annual reports with the state.
So they just weren't doing the paperwork.
Pretty much.
So this guy couldn't even keep up with the paperwork for his novelty store?
Apparently not.
And whatever Heirs to Heaven was supposed to be,
Yeah.
that does not inspire confidence in his ability to like organize things, does it?
Doesn't sound great, no.
But the story doesn't end there, right?
Correct. After Doodads LLC was dissolved, Mr. Freeman's spouse got involved with a new company
Oh, really?
called CBPI Inc., doing business as CBPI Doodads.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
His business gets shut down, and then his wife starts basically the same thing.
It does seem a little suspicious, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a little fishy. It's like he's trying to keep the business going,
Uh-huh.
but maybe distance himself from all the problems the old company had.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
So we got the original Doodad's Heirs to Heaven dissolving, and then the wife's Doodad's reboot.
Right.
But wait, there's more.
There is one more.
Government Staffing Advisors, Inc.
That's the one. Incorporated in July 2023.
Okay.
And Mr. Freeman's the sole owner,
Uh-huh.
and he's using his home address for it.
So this is the company that's mentioned in the federal indictment.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the feds saying about Government Staffing Advisors?
Well, they're alleging that he was using this company as like a shell to hide his income, his salary as the village administrator for Dolton.
Which was how much?
$100,000 a year.
$100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So instead of his paychecks going into his bank account,
Yeah.
they were allegedly going into this corporate account for government staffing advisors.
So he's trying to make his income disappear.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, and this is all happening right before his second bankruptcy filing.
The timing is definitely interesting.
Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about this UCC filing from 2020.
All right.
What's that all about?
So a UCC filing, that's the Uniform Commercial Code.
Okay.
It basically means there's a secured transaction going on.
In plain English.
It means a creditor has a legal claim on some of the debtor's property.
So like they put up their house or their car as collateral for a loan.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in this case, it looks like Mr. Freeman or one of his companies took out a loan in 2020.
And put up some assets as collateral.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh, interesting.
So it makes you wonder if maybe this was connected to some of those pandemic relief programs.
Like PPP loans and stuff.
Exactly. Maybe an economic injury disaster loan from the Small Business Administration.
So he might have gotten a government loan during the pandemic and used some of his stuff as collateral.
It's possible, yeah.
Okay, so is this loan still hanging over his head?
Well, there's no record of the UCC loan being terminated.
And what does that mean?
It usually means the debt hasn't been fully paid off.
So he could still be on the hook for this 2020 loan.
It's very likely.
And remember, in his 2024 bankruptcy filing, he said he had over $170,000 in debt.
Right.
So this 2020 loan was probably part of that total.
Yeah, it all adds up.
Okay, so we've got evictions, bankruptcies, shady business dealings, potential federal charges, unpaid secured debt.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a very clear pattern here.
What's that?
Rack up debt, don't pay it, and then sometimes face the legal consequences.
Yeah, that does seem to be a recurring theme in all this documentation.
All right, going back to the agenda. Go ahead, village administrator.
Sick lady.
Go ahead. Come on, Keith.
Does that better?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Mayor, residents of Dolton. Man, well, if you look through your board packet, the tax anticipated warrant we previously approved. I need you guys to revisit it. There are two separate payments for about, I believe it's 1.5 or $1.6 million a piece. So the ordinance had to be changed to reflect 2022 and 2023 because the payments will be drawn in both years, 2022, the end of 2022, and then the beginning of 2023. We also have several projects that are coming up. I believe one is the MWRD project that Ron will give you an update on. And then I believe that when Stacy gets an opportunity, he'll have a conversation with Mr. Corral, Stacy from Public Works. He'll have an opportunity to tell you guys about some projects that we have going on currently. I would be remiss if I didn't say that I think that there is a certain level of unethical behavior that and ill intent when we talk about how the trustees describe what's going on with the administration. And I think that they don't give the mayor or this administration enough credit for dealing with all of the, what I like to call shenanigans that go on in the village. There has been several times that we have gone back and forth and we have talked about being able to get past all of this. And I think that it's pretty clear to say that when you walk into a situation where all you want to do is provide really, really good service to the residents, and you work incredibly hard, and you want to make sure that there's streets, alleys, sewers, you don't want basements to flood. You want to be able, if you put out a program, you want to be able to deliver on it. And then when you talk about the politics of what's going on, and then you talk about, again, being upright, being moral, being ethical about the decisions that you make. I think that after a certain amount of time, when you realize that what you're doing, whether it be trying to recall someone who is rightfully appointed to their seat, whether it be about, subverting the Illinois Constitution by adding, or changing a bank account without the knowledge of the financial institution that protects it. There are a ton of things that we could talk about, but I think that if you really think about what's going on, honestly, if you guys look at yourselves and you honestly look at what's going on, I would hope that you would somehow have some type of regrets about the decisions that you've made. If not for yourselves, right, and your own moral accountability and character, then I would hope that you would honestly take a look and say, hey, listen, you owe the taxpayers an apology, because you're not spending your own money. This isn't your money you're spending when you take anyone to court, whether it be yourselves or not. No, you're wasting their money. That's money that could go to streets, alleys, sidewalks. That's money that can go back in their pockets, that could lower water bills, eliminate the need to have to pay for vehicle stickers. There's a whole host of things that you could do with that money. But the fact is that we spend more money on lawyers than anything. And I think it's tragic for anyone to sit up here, whether it be Trustee House, Trustee Belcher, Trustee Norwood, Trustee Brown. I think it's tragic for anyone to say that they feel like, for whatever reason, at least they can sit and say, hey, listen, I think it's in their best, they think it's in their best interest to continue with these, again, what I call shenanigans, and not look at the eyes of the taxpayers that's right in front of them and say, hey, listen, I messed this thing up. I really, really did. And I owe all of you guys an apology. And I think it would be in the best interest of everyone sitting down below us to at least try to work things out and do better. So I'll get off my soapbox, but there's this thing called character. There's this thing called character that, again, I have to look at these guys. I know Dan likes to laugh about stuff like character, There's this thing that I got to look you guys in the eyes every day when I get up and I come to work. And I can look you guys dead in the eye and know I did my job. And I hope that these guys down here below you, I hope they can say the same thing when they're wasting your money. That's all, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is discussion and approval of ordinance 23- authorizing the issues of not to exceed 3.9 million general obligation tax anticipation warrants in anticipation of the collection of taxes levied for tax year 2022 and tax year 2023 by the village of Dolton. As you guys know, last year we had to take out basically a loan. That's what it is really, to pay for our bills moving forward. Right now, this year we will have the same problem. Our taxes will be late to us. So normally we take out money to basically cover whatever expenses we have along the way. So we're asking the board to support the movement so that we can stay above water as we move forward, because we are not getting our tax money on time like we did the prior year. And then once that money do come in, we replenish, we basically refund the account. So that's what's going on. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a
All right,
question.
go ahead. And then that would be Tangenique and Janice.
Okay, I know last year we took out $2.9 million for the loan, and then it was paid back. Is it a reason why we're taking out an extra million now?
In the ordinance, it outlines the expenses that this bond will cover and how they calculated that amount.
So is the amount that we are getting that is from our taxes, does it equate to $3.9 million? I guess that's my question.
I have a comment. Were you done, Trustee?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I know last year was at a 0% rate. I think last meeting it had yet to be determined. Do we know what the cost of this bond would be?
The interest rate is 6.5%.
6.5, thank you. And then, I guess one other question, I think, to maybe Trustee Belcher, maybe I'm not to put words in your mouth. So if we were able to do a lower amount, would it be advantageous, or do we need the entire 3.9? Last year was 0%, so at this rate, we're looking at a 6.5%. Could we take out a lower rate to save on some of the interest, or do we need the entire 3.9 million?
The rate's set by the market, not by the amount that we're that's being loaned to us.
No, so I follow that. I'm asking,
No.
do we need, like when we take out a loan, you want to take it out for what we need so that we're not paying more in interest. So I'm asking, do we need the entire 3.9 million, or can we survive off of a lower amount to save on the interest?
We're going to take out the 3.9.
All right, any more questions?
No, we're not.
All right, please call the roll.
No, we're not.
Trustee Norwood,
No.
Trustee Stan Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Tammy Brown. No. Trustee House,
No.
Trustee Holmes,
Yes.
Trustee Belcher.
No.
The motion failed.
All right. So again, now when you do see us in a financial situation, the board voted no, because again, I just stated to y'all, we did not get our tax money. That's how we basically run our village, through our tax proceeds that we receive. So by saying no, that's fine. I know y'all got to make me look bad, but it's okay. I will figure it out as I always do. So I am okay with figuring it out. So I'll call a couple people and I'll make sure that we stay above water.
May I make a motion, Mayor? He was terrible.
What you got?
Because we want to do a lower amount.
But if she just told you she needed the money,
okay, you say you bring back the bag, so you should have
I do,
the
but
money.
she just explained to you it's grant money. I do. I always get money. Let's be clear about that.
So we're
But
gonna
if
take
you
a
smart-
loan.
Hold on,
We're gonna
trustee.
take a loan out for a lesser amount.
Okay.
Can I make the motion?
Okay, give me 1 minute. So if you're smart, which I don't think you are, because y'all try to be smart, a smart addict, you will understand that when I bring money back, it goes towards certain things. And I think that the finance director just explained that to y'all, that when you bring things back, it goes towards whatever that project is. It is grant money that I bring back. But don't worry about it. I got operating money coming too. So when I bring that back, you can use it towards operating money. But as people don't understand it, because you guys spin the narrative, stop spinning the narrative. But if you're going to lower amount, let's go. What's the amount?
You're so disrespectful.
Yes, you are. But go ahead.
I like to make a motion to take out the $2.9 million as we took out last year.
Go ahead. You can explain it, because they got to understand inflation and everything, just like you do with cost of living go up. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
before we get into taking out a lower amount and things that we haven't considered, can we sort of figure out the cost of inflation, the cost of goods sold, all of the things that we have not considered from last year? Yeah. The other thing is, it says up to 3.9%. I mean, up to $3.9 million, which means that it may not end up being $3.9 million. This ordinance will start the process of the ball rolling. then later on we will have to have some other ordinances that we will need to pass. I think that it's before anyone just jumps out of the water and says, hey, listen, we need $1 million less. I think you need to consider that last year, if you went to McDonald's and got a Happy Meal, I know because I got kids. You went to McDonald's and got a Happy Meal, it cost $4.99. Now it costs $8.99. When you went to go get some lumber last year, it cost pennies. You know what I'm saying? Compared to what it costs now. When you guys make these financial decisions and you just jump out the window, you guys have to consider all of these other variables. And I don't think that it's even, before anyone says anything about what should be done, I think everyone should take a step back and they should listen to the financial people that are right here, the beyond competent people that put together this particular document, Todd Krasinski, Vince Kankar, and everybody else that does this for a living. Like, you guys are, I'm not dissing anybody's financial savvy, but if you throw out $2.9 million and the $2.9 million doesn't make any sense because it was based on last year, I hope you was paying the same amount for gas last year that you was paying this year. That doesn't make any sense.
And I think y'all should have thought about that before y'all did all this spending on everything else.
Maybe we should have thought about that before we started spending money on lawyers.
You ain't paid them. You haven't paid them. So if you want to go there,
hold on, trustee. You out of order. Let him finish. You out of order.
But we have to.
So y'all steady talking about something y'all haven't even paid.
What about the millions of dollars that it costs to defend these lawsuits?
You still talking about something you haven't even paid.
You out of order. Let him finish.
Trustee Belcher, you're getting ready to throw out an arbitrary number based on how you feel.
Correct.
No, it don't have anything to do with how I feel.
This has absolutely nothing to do. There is no calculated, or I'll tell you what, I will be quiet. Tell me the calculated method that you were smarter than all of these financial people that created this document, Mesereau and everyone else, and Alliant, and tell me how you calculated how much we need.
That's because they on the defense.
No, I'm just saying. Like, you're smarter than them. If you're smart,
Trustee House just asked a question and nobody couldn't answer the question in reference to could we make it on the 2.9. She said we're gonna take out 3.9.
She said
and nobody considered all of these money that y'all spent.
Don't be upset
prior
to.
I'm not upset at all.
Let him finish.
Oh, you gave her a
y'all
question.
Getting mad because y'all ain't got an extra $1 million to blow through.
You said, do we need $3.9 million? She said yes.
No, she didn't. She said we taking out $3.9 million.
Now we dragging out the meeting.
Okay, well,
don't drag out the meeting.
I made the motion.
This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to just grab an arbitrary number.
I made
come on, guys. Come on. Let's be smarter than that. This is not just the price is right. Let's listen to the smart people. Somebody, for God's sakes, listen to the smart people. Do the right thing for these residents. Do the right thing.
Y'all should have thought about that when y'all was spending all the money that wasn't accounted for.
I'm glad you playing tit for tat with these people taxpayer money.
I'm glad that you're sitting there paying tit for tat too. Thank you.
I just want to say a couple things as it relates to budgeting and appropriating just as general principles. Essentially, if you don't appropriate for something and that money comes in, you then cannot spend that money. So if the $6.8 million in grants does come in, like the mayor stated it will, regardless, you're not going to be able to spend that money if you don't appropriate for it. So that is a very serious concern, and I can understand that you guys may or may not believe whether it's going to come in, but my recommendation would be to put that in there, at least have it in the appropriations ordinance. If it does come in, then you can use it. If it doesn't come in, then it doesn't affect the budget and appropriations ordinance at all, truthfully. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is that, as the mayor had previously stated, we are in the middle of negotiating various contracts. And it really does tie our hands at the negotiations table when we're not able to make the same offers to other bargaining units that we've settled with. And it just makes it very difficult for us to negotiate a fair contract. So I just wanted to point those items out to the board.
May I make a statement?
Go ahead.
So that was wonderful what you just said. But in October,
appreciate it. Yes.
October, Keith read out 3 other grants that he stated that we got. Those are not in the budget. So if we already been approved for those or applying for them or appropriating for them, then why are those items not allocated in the budget like this $6.8 million. Then there was a statement that was made at a last board meeting that said that even with the negotiations for public works, that they wasn't paying it until May 1st of 2024, which is the next fiscal year. So if you have this money allocated in the 2024-2025 budget, but you don't plan on paying them till 2025-2026 budget, then why is it allocated in there? So if you're going to say that the 6.8 of the appropriation, then that means that everything that he read in October should be in there too, since we're talking about transparency and all these grants. So that should be in there also. And those are not being reflected in there.
Yeah,
All right, are you done?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Keith.
Was that a question that you were asking whether or not it was reflected, or is that a statement that you were making?
That's a question.
Because I believe that it's reflected in the $6.8 million. It's not individually broke out, but you didn't ask us to individually break it out, nor did you ask a question about that. So I think the first thing is before you make an assumption on a budget, you should probably ask the question.
I'm not assuming anything.
I'm just going based off of what you just said. So the second thing is that I would like to know what accounting firm helped you guys put together this budget. How do you guys plan on making up for the $500,000 that we're going to lose for Homewood disposal? You're not passing the bond later on. And did you guys think of anything? I mean, did you guys have any help with this? Is there anyone that helped you with this, or are you guys just going off you guys' basic accounting skills?
Is that a question?
Learned in college? That's a question. Are you going off what you learned in college? Is this something that you learned in day camp?
Oh,
yeah.
Dang.
I know that's tough.
That's real tough.
There's no way in the world you could cut this much money out of a budget.
Yes, it is. Stop spending.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we didn't spend a dime until next year, you still wouldn't be able to cover the resources that you could cut out of this budget.
Yes, we would.
How? How do you know? What financial expert told you that? Please tell me. Oh, it was what his name was Kasperic? Because I can get him on the phone right now. This is ridiculous. Well, hey, he's the accountant, right? I'd really like to know. Can somebody tell me? Oh, it's quiet now. In the words of Tiffany Henyard, it's quiet now. I can wait.
Next, we have corporate bills, electric warrant. Trustee Stanburn.
May the 31st, corporate payments registered $263,794.44. Water fund registered $283,602.57. Federal forfeiture, $6. Sewer fund registered $258.61 for total corporate payments of $547,661.62. Their motion to accept these bills is read.
All right, was you done, Trustee Stanburn? You done?
Motion.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second to pay the bills?
Well, Andrew said it, but he has to speak into the mic because we can't hear him.
That's all.
Okay. It's been motion and second. Any discussion?
I do have a superseding motion on this. I have one item I wanted to request a removal, so I have a superseding motion to approve the bills as read, removing 3CINS LLC, page 1, $2,887.06. So that would be my superseding motion.
And what is that for?
If we have a second, I'll ask about discussion.
Second.
Okay.
All right, it's been motion second. Any discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
that was a great point you asked. We want to know what this payment is for because it says lease payment number 16, but reviewing all of the warrant lists all the way back to May of 2021, this is the first time this company has ever been on the warrant list. So we want to know what it is.
Okay, so if you wanted to know what it is, y'all know the protocol. Why did y'all ask questions as it relate to getting the answer before we get to the board meeting? Once again, we do all this for a show. Got all your answers before. You said that you talked to the village administrator last time and he answered your questions.
Absolutely. And when I called him,
hold on, I'm not done. So you asked the questions and he answered. So you could have did the same thing prior to this meeting instead of here we go grandstanding. Once again, if you're not gonna pay it, you're not gonna pay it. If you wanted to answer about it prior to the meeting, y'all could have did the same thing. So we're gonna move on. Call the roll. It's been motion and second, call the roll.
Don't we have discussion?
Go ahead, clerk.
I am. Please give me time. Trustee Belcher, you have something, Stan?
Yes. With man,
Go ahead.
hey, Keith Freeman, is possibility that we could get the knowledge on what this is about? Do you have any notice on that?
So, do you have an answer now? Okay,
Okay, so we can
so
get
they
something
don't-
later then?
Yeah, well, finance department's not here. So that's why I said, why didn't she ask the questions prior to like she did before? So she normally do it before, but why didn't she? So of course we would know right now to tell y'all what it is. So that's why we said, okay. All right, here we go. Call the roll.
Trustee Belcher.
Aye.
Trustee Stan Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Tammy Brown.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
No.
Trustee Norwood.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. All right. All right, Trustee Brown, let's move forward. Go ahead. Is there a motion to pay the AP warrant list?
July the 1st, 2024, corporate payments, $1,634,252.33. Gross payroll, June the 14th, 2024, $427,744.27. Gross payroll for 6/28/2024, $435,613.71. Melanie Fitness registered $1,244.32 for total corporate payments of $2,498,854.63. Their motion to accept is read.
All right, is there a second? It's been a motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I have another superseding motion.
Okay.
This will be approving the bills as read with the following removals. So approving the bills as read, removing page 5, Delgado Law Group, $119,620.81. Page 5, existing concrete, $14,123.03. Page 6, 5 Star, $122,325. Page 7, John's Pro Trees, $155,000 even. Page 8, K&M Ventures, $183,950. Page 8, Lopez Lawn Maintenance, $10,050. Page 9, Mosca Design, $65,700. Page 11, Raul and Sons, $181,950. And page 13, White Coat Pool Solutions, $34,788.58. My motion is to approve the bills with the following items removed.
Second.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
On this page where enterprise fleets, I know that the gentleman has stated that the payments were delinquent, and I asked for a copy of the lease. We approved this in September 7th of 2021. Based on because I went back to look at the YouTube, we approved to trade out the vehicles. The vehicles that we have, because we currently had at that time 46 vehicles. You guys have bought 30 new vehicles, which total $1,105,000 and some change. My question to that was, but I asked in reference to, did we turn in some vehicles? Because when I looked at the meeting, it said based on we were going to be turning in vehicles for the lease for the fleets. None of the, per the guy, Christopher Fry, who emailed me back, said that none of the vehicles was turned in. So if we didn't turn in any vehicles and we purchased 28 new vehicles, because that's what the exact total is, 28 new vehicles, where are those old vehicles?
So why don't you think we have the old vehicles?
You said what?
I said, why you don't think we have the old vehicles?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that. I was asking a question, but the reason I'm asking that is because historically, if you're selling anything, it should go through the board. because in 2021, you put that you were selling some stuff in the basement and you bought it in front of us and said, this stuff is a surplus, you know, that we have to go in front of the body to sell stuff. But y'all been selling these cars on govdeals.org and it hasn't came across the board.
First of all, we didn't sell anything from out of the basement.
A lie. I got it. Her name is
We did
Molly.
not sell anything from out of the basement. When you guys said you did not want to clean, hold on, you did. When you guys said you did not want to clean Village Hall, that's right when I got in office, all that trash, all that junk, whether it was couches, furniture, is still down there now. So we did not. As relates to vehicles, that would be Keith Freeman question, because he the one handles the vehicles, as you know this already. But no, but you know all this already. So when we get to the board meeting, I don't understand why we grandstand. You said, and I quote, you spoke to Keith Freeman. So if you guys have that type of rapport, why don't you do that before you get here instead of putting on a show? And you would have got your answer instead of putting on a show once again. What do you think?
Okay, so let me say this, because I think that for one, you never addressed the fact that it was supposed to go through the board. However, you just wanted to spend it. Two, I did speak to Keith Freeman. Keith, when I called you about what?
I think that's a.
When I called you, what did I call you about?
Hold up, stop. Before you start with the whole stuttering thing, just relax.
Oh my God.
Can you believe that?
That is so unbelievably disrespectful and unprofessional.
I know, right?
It's like, first of all, the insinuation that KB has a stuttering thing.
Oh, so condescending.
It's ableist. It's like he's trying to make fun of her speech pattern.
Right, and it feels so deliberate, like a tactic to derail her line of questioning and make her look bad.
Yeah, it's a blatant attempt to silence her and undermine her credibility.
Exactly. And it's just so infuriating because here she is, this elected official, trying to do her job, asking legitimate questions about potentially missing public assets.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right, and this is how he responds with a personal attack.
It's disgusting.
And it just relax. Everybody relax. Comment. It's so patronizing and dismissive.
Everybody relax.
Hold on.
Here we go. I'm very respectful for everybody. Let's be respectful.
All right, citizens, be quiet, let them talk.
I think the first thing is that if you did have a question, I think the best thing to do, because you know I would have answered the question, is if you called me. I think I would have answered the question. If I couldn't answer the question, at least I would have been able to tell you I can't answer the question. Second thing is all fleet. Every single vehicle that's in our fleet is being managed by the police department. They have a spreadsheet. And I would have been able to tell you which vehicles have been swapped out and which ones weren't. The other thing is, the last part is to answer all of your questions is that if you and I had a conversation with Chris Fry, then maybe we would have been able to get to the bottom of it. And as opposed to answering it right now, and it's a loaded question and I have nothing in front of me to answer it. One more thing too. I think this is really, really important. And this deal, this enterprise deal, was done prior to me being here.
Correct.
It was a Dorothy Brown deal.
That's correct.
So if I don't have the contract in front of me and the contract doesn't say, hey, listen, maybe these particular vehicles are being swapped out, this VIN number, this VIN number, this VIN number, swapped out for this amount, then I can't tell you that. So I agree that it's a valid question. But what I think is a better way of communicating with me and probably everybody else, so we don't get all the ahs and ohs, is maybe you can contact me and maybe we can continue the relationship that we have of communicating prior to us getting here. That would have been respectful, so we wouldn't just be put on the hook like this.
That's true, and you know what? And I definitely appreciate that. But as our conversation went, when I asked about why our agenda items wasn't on there, and he said, "Well, you know," then that conversation when the mayor was not available, it should have been that somebody would have got back to us. So I'm not trying to put you on the hook for anything. She the one said talk to you about it. I know exactly when it took place. Dorothy Brown was here. The lease was signed October 15th. I don't need you, me, and Chris Fry on there. What my conversation was to you about, or to the board or whoever is running the day-to-day operations, is that if these are something that not even the cars, the fact that selling anything that's a surplus goes in front of the board of trustees. Am I not right?
You're right about that, but
Okay.
we didn't have a conversation about that on the phone.
That's
You didn't
true.
mention that on the phone. What you mentioned to me is that you would like to place on the agenda a discussion item. You didn't say, and I quote, "I want to discuss this prior to me putting it on the agenda." That's one. The second thing is that part of that agreement may say that you are swapping out whatever those vehicles are. And I can't have an intelligent conversation with you about that if it's not in front of me. I think to be helpful to one another, so I can be prepared, so that the mayor can be prepared, and everyone in our administration can be prepared, it would have been better served for us to have that conversation prior to now.
The indictment names Keith Douglas Freeman as the defendant, and we're talking about the period from roughly July 2023 to at least April 2024. The main accusation is that Mr. Freeman came up with a scheme to defraud. And to pull it off, he filed, or had someone else file, documents in a bankruptcy case.
So this isn't like forgetting to pay a parking ticket. We're talking about allegedly trying to manipulate the whole bankruptcy system.
Exactly.
To get a handle on all this, we need to look at Freeman's financial situation.
Yeah.
What was going on with his money both before and during this time period? But the main point is he had control over multiple bank accounts, right?
Exactly. He had a JP Morgan Chase account, a Bank of Montreal account, and that Coastal Community Bank account that was opened in the name of Government Staffing Advisors, Inc. And he had sole authority over all of them. And this control over different bank accounts, it becomes really important when we dig into the details of the alleged bankruptcy scheme.
All right, so let's get to this scheme. We're talking about Chapter 7 bankruptcy, right? For those of us who aren't lawyers, what's the basic idea behind that?
So Chapter 7 bankruptcy is basically a way for people who are buried in debt to get a fresh start. It allows them to have certain debts wiped clean, but there are rules. You have to meet certain obligations to qualify.
Like you have to be totally upfront about your financial situation. No hiding money under the mattress.
Right. When you file for Chapter 7, you are legally required to give a complete and accurate picture of your finances. That means detailed lists of all your assets, what you own, and your liabilities, what you owe. You have to lay out your income, your expenses, and your whole financial history. And it's all done under penalty of perjury.
So you can't just forget about certain debts or conveniently leave out assets. And the heart of the accusation against Freeman is that he basically tried to trick his creditors in the bankruptcy court.
That's the gist of it. The indictment alleges that Mr. Freeman, he tried to and actually did defraud his creditors and the Chapter 7 trustee. He did this by actively hiding his assets and sources of income.
Okay, and how did he allegedly do that? What specific actions are we talking about?
The indictment outlines several key things. It says he hid his real financial situation and history. That includes things like whether the assets he claimed to have actually matched up with the income he reported. It also alleges that he tried to stop his creditors and the trustee from figuring out if he even qualified for Chapter 7 protection in the first place. And he allegedly tried to prevent them from objecting to his debts being discharged or even asking the court to throw out the whole bankruptcy case.
So it's all about keeping everyone in the dark so no one could challenge his bankruptcy.
Yeah, that's the idea. And the indictment goes on to say that starting around July 2023, Mr. Freeman just stopped using his Bank of Montreal account. Instead, he started funneling all his banking through this new Coastal Community Bank account, the one under Government Staffing Advisors, Inc. And the reason, well, according to the indictment, it was to hide his income and personal financial transactions from his creditors.
Sneaky, if it's true.
Yeah.
Making it look like the money was going to a business instead of him personally, so his creditors couldn't touch it. Now, there's also this one allegation involving his time in Robbins that really raises eyebrows.
Right. This is a pretty telling detail. Around January 3rd, 2024, Mr. Freeman filed a Schedule EF as part of his bankruptcy case. In it, he claimed to have total debts of $174,763. But according to the indictment, this schedule included a big, fat lie. Mr. Freeman knew that the Village of Robbins had a claim against him for unauthorized payments, but he deliberately left them off the list of creditors.
Wait a minute. He knew they were owed money and he just didn't include them. Sounds like he was actively trying to avoid paying them back.
That's the implication. The indictment emphasizes that by leaving out the Village of Robbins, he basically deprived them of their right to be notified about the bankruptcy case. They wouldn't have known about it, so they couldn't file a claim or object to anything.
And how much were these unauthorized payments from Robbins? Was it a lot of money?
Oh, it was significant. The indictment says that while he was village administrator in Robbins, Mr. Freeman received about 90,396 silers on top of his authorized salary. So yeah, Robbins had a pretty big financial claim against him.
Wow, $90,000. That's not exactly pocket change you just accidentally forget about.
Right.
Okay, so let's connect all this back to what we know.
The timeline is definitely revealing, and it makes that decision by Mayor Tiffany Henyard to appoint Mr. Freeman as village administrator in Dolton in 2022 all the more puzzling. I mean, knowing all this.
Puzzling. It's mind-boggling. It's like seeing a house with a crumbling foundation, and you decide to hire the guy who was just caught using dynamite on another building. What was she thinking? What does it say about a town when its top administrator is facing these kinds of federal charges? Especially when there's already a track record of financial problems.
When someone in that kind of position is accused of serious financial misconduct, it can really damage the public's confidence.
Absolutely.
The main allegations suggest that Mr. Freeman came up with a scheme to defraud his creditors and the bankruptcy court. And he supposedly did it by hiding income, using a new company and a new bank account, and intentionally leaving out a huge debt he owed to his former employer, the Village of Robbins.
And just to reiterate, this is the same guy who was then somehow given a powerful position in another town. You couldn't make this stuff up.
It really is unbelievable, but it forces us to ask some tough questions, doesn't it? Looking at these allegations, considering Mr. Freeman's financial history, it makes you think. What does it say about the systems we have in place in local government? How are these decisions being made? What does it tell us about the people in charge? I think it definitely leaves us with a lot to think about.
Next on the agenda, we're going straight to Keith Freeman. So, Board of Trustees, what do you want to do?
I have a question because you said he's terminated. So what? Why are we?
Oh, wait, hold on. 'Cause y'all always say, because y'all always say that I don't come to y'all. Hold on. We're gonna play a little silly game right now. So I put it on the agenda because he got terminated already, but everybody inserted themselves in the business of the mayor, right? So everybody inserted themselves. They send letters out. They let him do all this little finicky stuff, send emails out to the staff, all kinds of stuff. He knows this. They all know that because they wrote their names on it. So they kept saying, you got to bring it to the board. You got to put it on the agenda. So what I do? It's on the agenda. So that's why I asked that. So why would you ask that redundant question of talking about why I'm asking y'all? You guys asked me to put it on the agenda. It is on the agenda because we wanted your input, your opinion, right? So it's on the agenda for your input and your opinion because you kept saying that you guys have to vote on it. Is that not what y'all kept saying? Y'all say y'all got to vote on it. So here we are. So, Board of Trustees, is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman? Dun, dun, dun. There y'all go. What we doing? Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman? What we doing? Y'all gotta huddle up. Y'all gotta huddle up real quick. We'll take a 3 seconds. Okay. What we doing?
You want to discuss?
What y'all want to do? Y'all had to talk about it and get it together yet? Y'all doing signals across the room. What we doing? Y'all motioning it up. What we doing? Y'all quiet. Y'all quiet as a church mouse, as I say. What's going on right now? This the person y'all can't stand, y'all don't like. This what y'all say. This what y'all say about the person. Y'all say he's never at work, he'll do his job. Is this what y'all say? So what we doing, guys? The motion is on the floor. What y'all gonna do? The motion is seconded. What we doing? What we doing, guys? No? Nothing? Crickets? Nobody wants the motion and let go. But y'all, hold on. Look, let me just explain to residents that understand what I be talking about. Listen to this. Prior to a whole 5-10 minutes ago, they voted to lay off all these individuals, right? They voted on all these individuals, but the person that they all complain about is now up for a motion in a second to terminate. That's the person they claim. And if a person that they're talking about that they doing all these things make 100,000, what do you make? 100-something, what do you make? Why y'all didn't start at the top? Why didn't you? You started with people like William Moore, people that make what, $15,000 a year, people that make $15 an hour. You started with employees like that. You started with the code enforcement department that really brings revenue to our village. So make it make sense, residents. Why is everybody on mute all of a sudden? I don't hear nothing. Board of Trustees. Y'all all got so much to say. What y'all got? Y'all motioning? Y'all motioning secondly? Nobody?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, for those that ain't been watching the mess or I don't want to cuss, the show in Dolton, if y'all ain't been watching it, that show you that y'all must have been working with him the entire time. So all y'all been exposed, huh? So everybody's been exposed. Cause here it is. Y'all watch the meetings. Y'all see what goes on. I don't see nothing right now. Nobody said nothing. Y'all got nothing to say.
Imagination out this world.
So who been getting played the entire time? Looks like the mayor been getting played the entire time. That's what it looked like to me. Cause I can't believe they this quiet. Y'all always got something to say. Always.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, you adjourn the meeting. So your motion is now recognized, and we right here on this agenda item, and you know you're out of order. So basically,
it's a motion and a second on the floor.
It is not recognized if you understand the rules and how they work. So you want to get out of the jam? You that scared, huh? You that scared to talk about the firing? You guys said you didn't want the individual. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? I already know what I can do. I'm talking about them because they said that I didn't put it on this agenda. And I'm going to show you emails.
Who said that?
I'm going to show you emails.
Who said it?
Hold on, trustee, because now you got something to say. Hold on. Let me see.
You said who said it?
Basically, I'm going to show you everything that they talked about until we got to this point. Now it's on the agenda. Now they quiet. They got nothing.
Can you say who said put it on the agenda?
All I'm saying to you guys is we got to get some understanding of what's going on. So I'm letting people, as y'all say, hoodwink, bamboozle, led astray. Y'all let people do that to y'all, right? Y'all still ain't got nothing to say.
Who said put it on the agenda, Mayor?
Do y'all got something to say? I'm waiting.
Can you ask
How y'all gonna motion? How y'all gonna motion? What y'all gonna do?
You said somebody said put it on the agenda. Who asked you to put it on the agenda?
I already asked you a question. So you want to answer my question? You want to answer my stuff?
It's a motion and a second on the floor.
What you gonna do? Y'all gonna motion to release
a motion and a second on the floor.
So let me say this then. Because you guys are mute and they got nothing to say, as always, y'all been selling the residents a load of crap. I am using my authority, which I always had, but you guys intervene with it as always. Keith Freeman is fired from the Village of Dolton. He no longer works here at the Village of Dolton. And clerk, I just said that it was out of order, but that's what y'all do. Y'all just want to run the show. Everybody running. Nobody got nothing to say about Keith Freeman. Nobody.
Meeting
Nobody.
at 9:52 p.m.
So, Keith Freeman, I know you're watching. You no longer works for the Village of Dolton. Please turn in your keys, turn in all your stuff. HR reach out to you tomorrow as relates to you're fired.